The Highlander. Chapter 2. The Fever That Was Not a Fever. There is a story the valley tells about her, a soft story, a merciful story. One the people whisper in kitchens and on the church steps, because the truth is too sharp to hold in bare hands. They say she died of a fever. Antonio lets them say it. He learned long ago that lies can be kinder than truth. A fever gives a man something to bury. A fever lets him grieve without shame. A fever closes a door. But as he walks the high pasture path this morning, frost snapping under his boots, a cluster of sun-bleached rocks catches the new light in a way that freezes him instantly. He knows that light. He knows it with the same certainty he once knew the curve of her shoulder or the warmth of her breath. Memory strikes with no warning. It always prefers ambush. He sees her, standing on those very stones, wind pulling her hair from his neck, her eyes half laughing, half distant, already drifting from him in some eternal way he has never been able to name. He inhales sharply, and the cold breaks against his ribs like a blunt truth. She did not die. She left him. The lie of the fever is kinder. The valley needs the lie. But the land itself has no use for comfort. Antonio forces himself to keep walking. Tall grass bends in slow waves as the wind rises across the ridge. The movement reminds him of her hand brushing against his coat the last time they stood together. He feels the old ache crawl up his spine. It is always the small things that ruin him. A certain slant of cloud, a pattern in the frost, a bleached rabbit skeleton near a rock cluster, the way his own hands look when he prepares soap for the winter. Hands that once held her, hands that failed to keep her. He stops and lifts those hands now, as if they could answer him. They tremble. He curls them into fists, the way he used to when he was a boy, trying to steady himself against feelings that had no name. He wants to pray. He almost does. But prayer requires belief, and Antonio feels that God abandoned him the same morning she did. The day she packed her silence like luggage and walked out of the valley alongside a man who carried none of her history. A man who would never understand the way her presence bent the mountains or softened the harshness of winter light. The valley called it fever because fever is a death you can respect. Abandonment is not. Abandonment is a living wound. Abandonment is a ghost with breath. Abandonment is a memory that eats a man slowly. His father had known this kind of dying. So had his father before him. Men in this valley did not fall to war or winter. They fell to love that refused to leave. Antonio feels the weight of that inheritance settle on him again. The hard dying, the quiet torment, the endless devotion to a memory that will not loosen its grip. He closes his eyes. He lets the cold burn through him. Then he speaks, not to the mountains, not to the wind, but to the truth he has avoided for half his life. You did not die. You simply left me, and still I carry you. No answer comes from above, no comfort, no sign. Only the wind sweeping over the stones, as if the land itself is brushing past him, letting him know it has heard and will not forget. He takes a single breath, steadying himself the way his father once did when sorrow threatened to buckle his knees. He steps forward. The hard dying continues, and Antonio walks on.